buried lead now, that's what we call stories we feel deserve more attention than they're getting. In The Alabama Solution, a documentary that we should note is distributed by our sister company, HBO, the filmmakers go inside one of the nation's deadliest prison systems by using inmate videos to capture shocking accounts of abuse and systemic failures endured by men incarcerated in Alabama's Department of Corrections, also known as ADOC.
We had record numbers of people leaving out of here in body bags. They don't want the public to see what's really going on the inside.
How can a journalist go into a war zone but can't go into a prison in the United States of America? The state is settling one lawsuit after another. There's no consequences for their actions. It's not the inmate that's killing them folks.
The documentary has been nominated for an Academy Award for Best Documentary. Joining us now is one of the film's directors, Andrew Jarecki. Andrew, so good to see you. So this documentary has been 6 years in the making. What sparked your interest in making this film?
Well, I was always interested in incarceration and the problems that we have in this country around locking people up. And I had made a number of films around that, The Jinx and Capturing the Freedmans, and ultimately learned that the situation in Alabama was very dire, and then went down there, met a prison chaplain who said, why don't you just come in as a volunteer? And I said, you know, we're filmmakers, they're not going to let us in here. And he said, no, you don't have to film anything, just come in and you'll see what's what. And when we went in, we started talking to the men inside, and it was so shocking what we learned, and it was so desperate, the situation, that we realized we needed to make a film about it. And then we discovered that these men inside, that there was a sort of a network of them who had access to contraband cell phones and had been documenting for years the horrific experience that they have in that system.
So I thought about you and your film last month when we learned that a Cuban migrant had died at a Texas detention camp. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement initially claimed that he died after experiencing medical distress. They didn't give him much detail about what led up to his final moments, but then just a few days ago, a medical examiner ruled that his death at that Texas facility was actually a homicide. And it made me think about your documentary and how abuse by law enforcement in the U.S. happens every day and is covered up every day, regardless of all the officers and guards, et cetera, who do their jobs well and effectively.
Yeah, in the United States, prisons are often treated like black sites, and the public sort of drives by and sees a little sign on the side of the road that says XYZ Correctional Facility, and they think, well, you know, if anything really bad's happening back there, somebody would probably tell me about it. But the truth is the press is not really allowed inside, and so you don't find out what's happening inside these places where we're essentially, you know, able to disappear people. And when you don't have that light, when you don't have journalists or filmmakers able to go in and see what's happening, very bad things happen. And we're seeing that, you know, in the detention centers as well.
Yeah, and you tell me that the three main prisoners featured in your documentary are right now in solitary confinement. Why?
Well, you know, they've been activists for years. The amazing thing about them is that they've always done this on behalf of the other 20,000 people who are in that system. You know, both of the main people in the film are people who have life without parole sentences. So they're doing this work, and they're always doing it in a nonviolent way. You know, they're very much, they sort of take the Mandela philosophy, which is like, we've got to get there through nonviolence. And always the authorities react to them with violence. In this particular case, there have been a number of things happening, but things that these men are able to do, namely to get the word out, to motivate other prisoners. They've been involved in a lot of work strikes over time, which interferes with the Department of Corrections' ability to generate now $450 million a year in free labor. And so, you know, they're often targeted, and in this particular case, they were sort of taken out of circulation before a planned work strike, and that's really horrible thing. I mean, it's not just that they're alone, right? It's that they're in a windowless cell in an institution where they have no contact with anybody. They're not allowed to talk to other prisoners, and they're not allowed to have contact with their families. Their lawyer visits are cut back. They can't have pencils or pens. It's a very brutal mini system within an already brutal system. So they're sort of treating them like Hannibal Lecter. Nobody can go near these people, even though they're incredibly thoughtful, brilliant guys who've been running a nonviolent protest movement. And that's the fear right now, is that there's so much of this brutality and that it's being done undercover, that it's not something that the public is allowed to see.
One of the directors of the Alabama Solution, Andrew Jarecki, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Jake.
Is former Vice President Kamala Harris plotting some sort of political comeback? The message she posted online that sure seems to suggest so. Hear it for yourself next.